Wednesday, October 9th was a most amazing day at the races. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at the new racing form, and I'm going to handicap two races with you and show how they led to big payoffs that made for a big day. So let's get started. We'll open up the racing form, and we're going to go first to race 3 at Keeneland. The third race today is at Keeneland. We're going a mile on the turf, and it's an allowance race, non-winners of 2 lifetime, and it's for 2-year-old fillies. The number 2 horse is Queenie's Song, one of the favorites at 3-1. Goes out for Graham Motion, a good trainer. Has pretty good numbers for the turf, and he has an 18% win percentage with a 226 ROI, which means for every $2 bet, you get back an average of $2.26 every time he puts a horse on the turf for the first time. This filly has only been out once. She's been today's distance, 1 mile, on the synthetic track at Prescott Isle Downs, which plays like turf. She came from off the pace that day, and she won, and she was well bet that day at 5-2. Has to be considered one of the primetime players today. The 3 horse, Be Nice or Leave, has Rosie Napravnik, 5-1 on the morning line. Tom Proctor, good trainer. This filly has also been on the turf, and this is interesting. She actually went today's distance, a mile, on the turf in her debut maiden special weight company, and she won. And you notice right here she was second by a half length at the top of the stretch. She was ahead by a head at the 8th pole and held on to win by a neck. So it shows great courage as she held on here, and she was between horses and made a steady bid to the finish and won at pretty good odds of 4-1. So she showed some heart, but she was running against a 10-1 pace setter, and the pace of the race pretty slow that day. I anticipate the pace to be faster today. Street Sailing, number 6. 15-1 on the morning line, and never been on the turf. But here's what I liked. First of all, most of the field didn't scream out to me as, gotta bet this horse, really solid as a turf runner. Didn't scream out to me anybody that really wanted to be on the lead. Street Sailing has run in 3 sprint races. Today, stretching out to a mile, I think she'll be near the lead. Her numbers, Tomlinson numbers of over 300 in turf and distance, are excellent, and hers are over 400. So right away, this says to me she is a legitimate contender that will be a fair price because she should get the distance, and having never been on the turf, people will probably ignore her. She won in maiden special weight company, and she was in a stakes race last time out, so the connections must think something of her. But here's what made her my upset special. The trainer, when he puts a horse on the turf for the first time, for every $2 bet, you get back $3.42. Those are huge numbers. When he goes from synthetic surface to turf, like she's doing today, he wins at a 17% clip, but look at the ROI, $4.57 for every $2 bet. But here is the ultra key stat. 2 sprints and then a route. When this trainer goes 2 sprints and a route, he wins 60% of the time, and for every $2 bet, you get back $14.88. This guy scores with long shots. And as an added bonus, the jockey today is a 31% winner for the barn. So I made him my upset special based on the trainer's ROI figures and the fact that she had solid numbers for the turf and the distance. As they went into the gate, she was not only 15-1, but left the gate at 16-1.
And they're off. Awesome Jill ducked out at the start. There goes Street Sailing from between horses for the lead. La Mejor Fiesta has early speed toward the inside, though. La Mejor Fiesta moves up, puts ahead in front. Street Sailing will go second as they move into the first turn. Be Nice or Leave is moving up third down toward the rail. Fabulous Miss B is right alongside of her, though. And then Awesome Jill, who's caught up with the field now and moves wide around the first turn, moves up 2 spots from last. She's got Too Cool right there to her left, and they're joined by Queenie's Song. Queenie's Song is tucked away against the rail last for that move off the first turn. Long way to go. 24 seconds the time for that opening quarter, so plenty of time for Queenie's Song. Back up front, La Mejor Fiesta is the leader toward the inside by almost a full length up the back stretch. And then comes Street Sailing, the gray, who's in the second position. Fabulous Miss B toward her outside. And then Be Nice or Leave back toward the inside, who's third by just ahead now. Too Cool is next in between horses as they enter the far turn. Queenie's Song is still down toward the rail in close quarters there, running 5 lengths off the lead. Awesome Jill toward her outside was 49-1. The time for the first half mile. La Mejor Fiesta sets the tempo and leads it. Street Sailing is just off the leader's flank, midway on the far turn. Too Cool looking for running room in between horses now and shifts lanes toward the outside along with Fabulous Miss B. Here's Too Cool for clear running on the outside. Queenie's Song is still next to last off the far turn. Into the stretch, Street Sailing has the lead now from La Mejor Fiesta. Too Cool needs to find more. Queenie's Song is still far back. They're moving by the 8th pole, and look at Street Sailing and Pablo Morales opening up on a widening 7-length lead. Queenie's Song going to pick up the pieces, but behind the leader, it is all Street Sailing. Street Sailing crushes the field. Queenie's Song was home second, then La Mejor Fiesta.
Wow, that was amazing. 16-1. Paid $34. I cashed for over $85 and quickly posted the results on Facebook to share with all my Facebook friends. So now let's turn to the next race in the racing form, and we will go to the feature race on the Keeneland card. It was the 8th race, the Grade 3 Jessamine Stakes for 2-year-old fillies on the turf. The 6th, Zinze, ran a big buyer, had a 74 buyer. She sat second until they turned for home, dueled through the stretch, came away with a neck win. Since then, she's got at bullet work here at Keeneland. She goes out for Rusty Arnold. He's a pretty good trainer, although he's winless in 3 starts here at Keeneland. Joe Rocco is a good rider, but he's only 1 for 15 here. So the fact she won her debut says something for her, especially that it was at Saratoga and it was at today's distance. She's 3-1 on the morning line, and you have to consider her a legitimate contender as well. In fact, she'll probably be one of the favorites. Number 7, Academic Probation. She's on the turf at Churchill Downs, slow pace, and yet she came from 10th to win, so she'll be flying late. But at Churchill Downs and Maiden Special Weight Company, I'm not so sure who she was beating that day. Not the best of horses ran. The trainer simply 2 for 16. Corey Lannery, a good rider at Churchill Downs, is off to a slow start at Keeneland, 1 for 16. Probably the 12-1 is a fair price on that filly. My pick was Kitten Caboodle. Kitten Caboodle goes out for Ken and Sarah Ramsey, whose horses are just top-notch, especially those that are sired by champion Kitten's Joy, and they all have the name Kitten. Chad Brown, one of the best trainers, especially on the turf. And when Chad Brown teams up with the Ramseys, they always have good horses. In her debut at Saratoga, she was 7 off the lead, sitting 7 of 9, came flying through the lane despite a 48 half mile, and missed by a length, even though she was steadied at the quarter pole. So that had to be considered a winning effort, but the trouble cost her the race. She comes back on August the 18th, and she runs second again, but this is the race I pointed out earlier. Notice the winner, Candy Kitty. Kitten Caboodle, as a closer, sat third behind a 27-2 and 53-4 half, 117-4. There's no way she's going to make up ground through the stretch. So she made a middle move and then flattened out as Candy Kitty just walked around the course. Notice that she was 6-5 that day. Actually, she was even money that day. So today, she comes back in a stakes race as still being a maiden. To me, that tells me that Chad Brown and the Ramseys see her as having immense talent, and that the first race was what she's probably going to run today if she gets any kind of pace to run at. At 4-1 on the morning line, I just thought it was really good value for a horse that probably should have already won a race and legitimately had reasons to say why she didn't win her first two. I mean, if she doesn't have trouble in that first one, and notice she stumbled at the break, and still in spite of the glacier-like pace, she was still second and well clear of the third place horse. She probably would have won that race as well, so she could be 2 for 2. At 4-1, I thought she was a real overlay, and I made her my bet of the day. Notice the star, she's my best bet. So in spite of Kitten Caboodle being a maiden, as they headed into the gate, she was a nice 7-2. I made her my bet of the day.
And they're off in the J.P. Morgan Chase Jessamine Stakes. Zip On goes right out for the early lead. Richie's Party Girl comes out running in the second position. Pretty Fancy away third. In between horses, Shannon Nicole's fourth down toward the inside. Kitten Caboodle right there alongside of that one as they move for the first turn. But Zip On and Robbie Alvarado have the advantage heading into the turn. They lead it by 2 lengths clear and get over toward the inside rail. Zip On opens up by 2.5 lengths. Richie's Party Girl second around the outside of Kitten Caboodle, who's toward the inside third. Zinze fourth alongside of that one. Pretty Fancy fifth in between horses. Shannon Nicole sixth back toward the inside. Candy Kitty travels in the clear, seventh off the first turn toward the middle of the course. Then a gap of 3 more lengths back to Courtesan in eighth. Runway Giant is ninth, and Academic Probation is last. 23 seconds the time for the opening quarter. Zip On leads it by 2.5 lengths midpoint of the backstretch. Richie's Party Girl second by 1.5 lengths. Zinze third ahead just outside of Kitten Caboodle, who's starting to pick up the chase down toward the rail after a 46-4 first half mile. Kitten Caboodle looking for more running room now into the far turn. Shannon Nicole behind her toward the inside. Pretty Fancy is sixth between horses. Candy Kitty still wide and seventh around the turn. Runway Giant, then Courtesan. Academic Probation is last. Zip On, the leader by 2 lengths at the quarter pole. Richie's Party Girl, second by 2. Zinze toward the center of the course. Third, Kitten Caboodle, fourth toward the inside. Shannon Nicole, fifth behind her. They turn for home. An awkward move off the turn for Zip On. Plenty of room toward the inside for Kitten Caboodle. Richie's Party Girl, Zinze toward the outside. Kitten Caboodle comes up the inside of the final furlong. Zip On straightens course, but now second. The rest have work to do. They're running out of time because Kitten Caboodle kicking on for the wire. Kitten Caboodle and Alan Garcia to take the J.P. Morgan Chase Jessamine Stakes. Zinze was home second, and Courtesan rallied late to grab third.
Oh, another impressive winner, and look at the payoff, $9.40. My $20 win bet resulted in a return of $94. So on those 2 tickets alone, I cashed for $180. And here's what made the day even more amazing. Of the 19 races that I handicapped for the day, I finished second 8 times. 8 times. I was third 3 times. Winners? 2. Those 2 only. But hey, I won for the day anyway. $20 in profit thanks to Great Handicapping.